Good evening, everyone. This is Faulty Logic Fridays, and I am the Mad Computer Scientist. It has been a relatively bad week for me, so I needed a little bit of a break tonight, so I went out and performed my stand-up routine at a local, I almost said comedy club, but it's a bar. Let's be honest, it was a bar. And apparently the bar was actually having something of a professional wrestling show there tonight, which I honestly did not want to stay for and didn't. But I did stay for the bar to do karaoke where I got to sing a couple songs. Then I realized it was getting late and I should probably get heading home because I had a cat that I promised when I would be back home. Now, I am, as I said, the Mad Computer Scientist. On this channel, I discuss math, computer science, and technology topics that are of interest to me. On Fridays, I do something a bit different and try to find videos that I think are bad logic if I have time. Tonight, I didn't necessarily have the best of time to do that, and the fact that I'm doing this fairly close to midnight means that I didn't quite get to it the way I wanted to. So now I'm just going to promote this out in the background here while I'm here, trying to get some people in. And of course, my cat is going to be on my hands trying to prevent me from doing that because my cat feels that she has not had enough attention, and I am not entirely sure she is wrong about that. My cat, for those of you who don't know, is a tortoiseshell, and if you've ever have tortoiseshell cats, you know one thing they are brimming with is something called tortitude. And my cat is showing a lot of her tortitude tonight. And I love her for it. She probably wants me to pet her, and she probably should get some pets. We'll give her some pets while we're sharing the links out. I don't know if anyone's in chat yet. I doubt it. Honestly, I did not give a lot of warning for this tonight. But honestly, after moping for most of the week, I do feel a lot better. And I could explain why that was, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter. All right, so tonight we're going to look at something called Are Advanced Tech Implants the Mark of the Beast? And that is with someone calling himself Dr. Bobby Conway on the channel that says Christianity still makes sense. Now, this is not to attack Christianity, but we do know religious arguments often are replete with logical fallacies, and this is one where I think they're assuming that something they don't like must be conflated with something else they don't like, not understanding they're two different things. Basically, they're trying to make a bad analogy. And bad analogies aren't necessarily faulty logic, they're just bad logic. And I don't know if that made any sense, so let's actually share this particular item. Let's make sure we got the screen sharing proper. Looks like we've got it. We're going to add that to our screen. We did not want it to start quite yet. I also want to make sure the sound is there, but also sound has been kind of off on these for a while. And I know it's kind of an issue with StreamYards. We're also going to skip past the music because honestly, I am not interested in their music. This music does seem to be a filler for the most part. Wow, 3 minutes and we're still in the music. All right, so we have gotten past the music. It looks like we're into the 4-minute mark. And wow, that's... All right, that's just a hazy window. For a second, I thought I saw like a tornado in the background. Once again, for the pastor's perspective. All right, while we're doing that, let's make sure I get my headphones on just to keep some noises out of the microphone and make things easier on your ears. The cat is playing with the cords because that's what cats do. And that makes things more difficult for me. All right, we're not going to be able to do because the cat. Yes, we are all really interested in you fumbling over the number. Get to the point.
Driving me nuts. Anyway, answering your Bible questions today, Brian Broderson.
Okay, so I can see on a panel where they're supposed to be discussing technology, they have exactly zero experts on any kind of technology, but a bunch of pastors. So, how are we going to determine that the technology is what they're saying it is when they don't understand how it works?
Just going for it.
I have no idea how old this video is, and we're going to skip ahead because this isn't relevant to what I want to discuss tonight. We'll go to about the 20-minute mark, and hopefully they're over this.
Text our family link that article, and I'll just worry about it. Just worry about it. Yeah.
All right, so we'll go back a little.
The person who said, "Yeah, I chose you, Gideon, and I want you to be my father, but you let me down one last time." You know, we hear those stories and we think about how people have been just disillusioned by deacons and elders, but the reality is biblically speaking.
I don't care about how you define a deacon either. For heaven's sake, get to the point. The good news is, as a Mormon boy, you have all the equipment you need to be a deacon. You do have to wear ties when passing the sacrament, though.
And they're
Give me a second here and make sure I have the right video. Also, I'm not sure you can hear it, which is why I have closed captions on. Alright, so yes, I have the right video, and apparently this was recorded 3 years ago.
expect out of him. And then see 3 as well as facts.
Great. So I'm having issues with my headphones, so I have to manually mute things. It looks like this video was recorded 3 years ago, and it sounds like they're talking about the Nashville shooting. But I still haven't figured out when they're actually going to talk about technology. I too often confuse the movie The Matrix, starring Keanu Reeves, with reality. As far as I know, this technology does not exist yet. Not to mention, having the knowledge of a blacksmith is not the same thing as having the skills of a blacksmith. For example, I know how to drive stick shift. I learned how to drive a manual transmission. However, my coordination is so poor that I will destroy a manual transmission if left to my own devices, which is why all the cars I've owned in my adult life, except for one, have been automatic. Going through a clutch in 6 weeks, going through 4 clutches in 6 weeks was enough for me. Ladies and gentlemen, the person we just saw is what Glenn Beck will look like in 10 years. With all due respect, this is not biotechnology. Biotechnology is more or less like genetic engineering. Now, I'm not going to say biotechnology won't be involved here, but this is more cybernetics. Not to mention, I don't know where he heard this claim, because as far as I know, we still don't have anything like this. Not even Elon Musk has claimed this. Is he getting confused with Neuralink?
This is even
So if it's going to be a very specific thing at a very specific time with a very specific purpose, could you please tell us specifically what it's going to be? Seriously, you look like you've had a bad day, and you look like you need more sleep.
Revelation chapter 13.
And if you saw the Faulty Logic Fridays 2 weeks ago, you know that Barack Obama is not the Antichrist, from a video where the person was trying to prove that Trump was not the Antichrist.
And it will also
I did not hear that one, although I heard plenty of other wild vaccine misinformation theories. My favorite was that COVID was the result of 5G.
no basis in reality and a Christian.
And if people are always calling new things the mark of the beast, that should tell you maybe the problem isn't with new technology. The problem is that people don't like being drug into new technology, and they're always innately suspicious of it. And this I can kind of get because sometimes we don't really think about the long term effects of our technology. That's basically where we are with artificial intelligence right now. We don't really know how it will affect society in the long term because it's relatively new, and the tech bro CEOs are pushing things that they don't really understand. I wish the computer scientists were more in control of it than the tech bros right now.
Yeah, I think that's where
Please consult your pastor to see if new technology is right for you. Wait, what? We do have ways of altering an individual's DNA, but most of these chips don't do this. Putting a chip in that implants, or putting an implant in the skin underneath the wrist, won't change a person's DNA most of the time because it's not designed to do that. Even most vaccines don't change a person's DNA, not even mRNA vaccines. And one of the great things about the mRNA vaccine controversy that came out in recent years is a lot of people are saying they won't have anything with mRNA, which is an interesting thing because every single cell in your body uses messenger RNA. All the new COVID vaccines were is an interesting bit of biotechnology that let your body build an antibody without having a dead version of the virus injected into you.
will we have technology like this in the very near future?
There is another thing he's getting wrong here, and it's misleading. The problem is no one is claiming that this particular chip will change DNA. And not even in this video was it the thing the person was worried about. The person was not worried about his DNA changing. What he said was people could implant a chip that would give him the knowledge of a doctor or the skills of a blacksmith, aka like Neo in the Matrix when they plugged the probe into his neck and Neo learned Kung Fu. Yes, it would be cool if we had something like that, but honestly, even if I could have the skills to do karate, that still doesn't mean I'm going to be able to make all the moves to do karate, because my body just hasn't been trained that way.
Joshua, thanks for your question today on Pastor's Perspective. 888-564-6173 is our number. Let's talk to Joey in California. What can we help you with, Joey?
Oh. And where are they going with this? I was about ready to cut this off, but now I'm kind of interested. So she found a YouTube video that gave a clear definition of what she was looking for, and I don't get why this is an issue. The fact that it came from a religious person doesn't mean that the person's wrong. I think this journalism student probably didn't learn about the genetic fallacy. And speaking of genetic fallacies, you will not commit one, but if you like, comment, and subscribe on this video, please be sure to do that.
Nice.
I'm going to skip this one because this isn't the kind of thing I want to address on this. It is not that it isn't an issue that needs to be addressed. The main problem is I am not qualified to do it. It looks like that might also be the end of this one. So, honestly, I thought there would be more here. It doesn't look like there was. I was kind of looking for a more in-depth, detailed explanation, and let's close that out, because I didn't realize that was under there, of why this particular pastor thought an implant might be the mark of the beast, and I did not get that. I would like to go a bit longer, but honestly, I did everything at the last minute. So please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you get a chance, go out and write some code.